the SUSE QE Tools Workshop from the 20th of October. Today I suggested that we do a joint programming session, in particular for qem-bot. So what I will do, I will share my browser screen, and what we want to look into is in particular this repository, OpenSUSE qem-bot. If you would like to try it out for development, as a user, you can just say the G help. But if you'd like to try it out as a user, just clone the repository. You can call make test, and then you'll see what additional requirements are needed, and well, you can get the requirements via pip into local overlay, or you can also make sure that you have the according packages provided by your operating system. Now, what I would like to do, I will need to see how I can reshuffle my Windows setup. Yeah, so who and Michael, yeah.
Maybe just a quick comment to my previous experience is that yes, you can do this for local testing. You can run tests, but if you want to run a few commands, even some dry runs, you will need a dashboard, and you will need a dashboard with kind of real data sometimes. So you will need to connect to OpenQA and so on, and you will need the QEM dashboards too locally, or either use the real one. But that is dangerous because then you send real data to the real dashboard.
Right. That's correct. However, for today, I will actually focus on what we can do just on the unit testing level without directly interconnecting with the dashboard. So I think I'll need to put this there, this there, then I can that over here. It is. Does this work for you? I'll assume that's a yes.
Yes,
So what do we have here? Something. So okay. Yeah. Let me just try out, make test, and see if I have everything. I think I also need to rebase. So what's this X failed? I don't know what that X failed is. New? I don't know. Oh, I'm receiving little stars here, so I guess it's all fine. And it seems I'm missing a Unicode character here in this font, but I don't know what font it is using when it's displaying that in the browser window. Ah, the workshop. So I just want to make sure that I'm really up to date, because lately there had been some great changes in here. So now let's try again. For a little bit. And now I'm missing Pyland. Okay. I guess I should be able to find something like Pyland.
Are you in a virtual environment or?
No, that's my local setup here. I'm running a Leap 15.5. I don't think I have any pip enabled right now. Well, I assume I'm just relying on the OpenSUSE packages here. I just haven't installed silent yet, I assume, because that one was just, you know, in the rebase commits.
Here, Michele, I can
Yeah, I can.
maybe just share my experience. And what I'm used to do is to create a virtual environment, and usually I keep it within the folder where I clone the repository.
Yes. So that's a good idea. Well, you know, it depending on the project. In this case, I know that qem-bot doesn't have that many dependencies, so I'm fine using that. Otherwise, virtual env. That's what you mean, right?
Yes, exactly. And
So we can also do that. Let's try it out. If the test run fine now, then it's fine. And if not, then with virtual env, we could create that and enable the Python reader from there, run tests from. Ah, so this is new, right? But I wonder why it warns me about that, because I thought you excluded with config
all
file.
of them. Yes.
Well, never mind. I think it can give us some helpful feedback anyway. So I wonder, can I in this? Yeah, go on.
Yes, you started by unit testing, no? So maybe we can just look at unit testing, and it should be a dedicated make target, I think, just to run them.
Yes,
Because I
so
haven't
I
changed.
press make and then tab, and then I guess it's okay for now. I can go with only test. What I'm using here is a rather simple tool. You know, for every programming language, there can be something which specific, or you can have a very generic IDE and you try to add all the unit testing and checks in there. What I like to use as a most generic entry point, not necessarily the best for all environments, but for a start, whenever I try out something, then I often use while I notify wait. What that is doing, it's basically this one line. It says while, so that's bash, right? While I notify wait, close, write, move to dot, do, run, whatever I give afterwards. So how does that work? I say while I notify wait, make only test, and now I don't remember. Only test.
I'm checking.
Only test. So what this does, it runs once and then afterwards it waits. And whenever I do changes, then it will call tests again. So normally what I or actually let's try. I hope that it's not getting too small. Normally I have a bit more space on the screen and a bit smaller font. So let's try screen here, and I'm splitting into top and bottom. So here I can make an edit window, and here I make E for test, okay? And now I found one code location, which is the OpenQA types incidence. And this call function, so that's the implicit call function, means like if we call like on the object without an explicit method, then it would call this function. The idea is that you can just construct the object and then you have what you need. And inside that call function, we walk over multiple entries. And then we go over all architectures. And within architecture, we have incidents. And then for each incident, we do something which is this longer block. And there's one, let's say, stylistic issue, but it adds to the complexity, and it can make it harder for newcomers to be able to understand and then try to change the code, which is that, you see this big block of dark space on the left, and that looks scary. I would like to reduce the indentation. How would I be able to do that? Well, to be able to do that, I guess I should extract something like the inner body of that for loop. Problem is
that I found difficult to understand in this function, like a new reader of it,
yeah,
is because it is like it's a for loop, nested for loop, but it is going through many items, generally
yeah,
speaking, and filter some of them, and then perform some action if they has not been filtered out. So
exactly.
maybe we can like create a filter function. No?
That's a good idea. Right.
To
So
return a Boolean value, and then with the Boolean, maybe we can decide to continue or not. No?
yeah, because there are all those continue, and if I pull that out in a function, then the function will tell you like you cannot use continue from the function, right? So the interesting part, I just saw at the end. If I go to the hell, I mean, this long block. At the end, what we want to do, like this is the happy path, okay? The happy path is that we append something to red. So I assume red is like the return list, and we append full post. So that's what we want to do. And the question is, what should we do in all the other cases when we exit out early, we continue? So maybe what we can do is we say red is a list where we filter out, I wouldn't say Boolean, but we can use the none element, I guess. Would this work? Let's just see what happens if I do that. Maybe it takes a bit long to run all the tests, so maybe I want to select a single test out of that, but 6 seconds. I mean, normally I would aim for something like a single unit test that you use during development to do one thing should be below 1 second. We have 5.9 seconds here, is a bit long, but we're talking about it, discuss it, maybe it's yeah, go on.
Yes, something that we are missing is that we are supposing a unit test is like covering this loop, and I can tell you that it is not entirely true. It's just maybe cover one single partial execution of this loop.
Absolutely. So the tests are far from perfect. I'm not fully trusting them. I only want to, okay, so the question is, can we make them break? Okay. For example, what happens if I put like, is that code even executed? Okay, I can say assert false. Do we reach? That's maybe something that we should check. I mean, do we actually call that function at all? And it looks like we do. No, a lot of failures. So that's good. So it's not like the code isn't executed at all. I mean, if the code is executed, does it mean that it does correct? Does it return correct results? I don't know. Maybe we can. I mean, what happens if I have a list which does have an appended none at the end? Does that actually upset anything? It looks like it does. So what we can see from above is it says assert none doesn't equal the empty list. So that's good. That also means me that there are at least some cases where it would, one thing I wanted to state is I don't really know the code. I mean, I reviewed some pull requests, but I never really implemented anything. I mean, what I did is like replace one variable with another one or set a config option. But besides that, I don't have experience. So for me, I'm doing the refactoring to learn how that works. I might end up with something, or we might end up with something that's actually useful, but the chance is, let's say it's 50-50 that we actually end up with something that I cannot commit. It's just a scratch refactoring helping me to understand what's going on, to understand the code. Okay. I could try to carefully read it, but I would like to start like test driven and see what effect it actually has on tests. So this is good. We can see that if we append none, then the test thinks this is not a sensible list of stuff. But apparently our filtering didn't break it because obviously there shouldn't be any none elements. So maybe that's okay, right? So I wonder if we would replace all the continuous with something like this, because they should be filtered out later. And of course, I don't want to keep the none append plus the continue. But what this means is like, okay, if we would, I would assume if we do that in all the cases, and then instead of continue, we do something like return none, a function, then it should, all those nuns should be filtered out, and in the end, the result should be equivalent. What do you think? Is that a good idea? Let's try. Okay.
Yes, but you need both to. I do not understand, but probably.
Let's see. So we have
this.
We have this triple for. Okay, and I don't really know how to call that function yet, but I guess it's something like handle incidents. And maybe we want to make that a method of the same class, and probably it should be marked with the under as prefix to mark it as an internal function. So I'm pretty sure that we need to give all the iterators from the loop in there. So definitely handle incidents needs to take the increment, right? And probably also we need arch and labor and data. That's why the outer loops provide them as iterators. I assume even that our style checks would tell us if we pass any variable, any argument that aren't used in the function. So I guess we should be safe doing that. And then we have the additional function arguments to that had been added here, like token, CI URL, and ignore one time. Probably those things we can move into the inner functions because the for loop doesn't need it directly. So what comes after data? Token, CI URL, and ignore one time. Oops. Right. Okay, so apparently I cannot use all the keyboard shortcuts that I'm used to in Vim because they are put by the browser. Okay, ignore one time. Does this sound good? Okay, I wrote def. So actually, I would call it like this, okay? And what this should return is one entry to red. So we append it here. And after the loop, we do the filtering. And then later, if that works, I would like to replace the red append with the proper Pythonic way, which would be a list concatenation. So that we like would construct the list in place. So now I'm cutting that complete list, moving up here, saying def handle incidents, and then comes arguments, and that's it. And then we just need to unindent, right? So those two can move into the function. Like this. And this whole block may unindent that. Yeah. This. I'm displaying artifacts here. And then instead of red append, just return that full post thingy. Seems to be some kind of hash. And of course, every continue we replace then with return none. Right? Like this. So from the top, handle incidents that continue. The turn none. This. Wait, where am I? Is that the same function still? Yeah, it should be.
Yes.
So let's check. There are any? Actually, you know, let's assume I forgot that one. Will our tests tell us? Yes. See above, it says syntax error, continue not properly in loop. Correct. So return none. Now, does this work? What do you think? I don't think it
Maybe
will
it is.
work. So
At least it fails now. Would be
yeah, type.
The test was passing.
Yeah, that would be bad, right? There's one obvious thing which we're missing is that we forgot to specify the argument list. So, but we know how we want to call it. So what they can actually do is take that, put it here, and I would like to specify the types as well. Now we already have. Wait, why is there's the double on that? That's too many. So we already have that list here, so we know what call would like to do, and that means setting them here so that I can copy them over. So we know what inc is. That's an incident, right? And I don't know what architecture or flavor is. I'll just keep it like that. We know that we pass token from the outside, so we can take that in here. CI URL is an optional string, and that's a Boolean. And what does this function return? Well, call returns a list with dict string and any IS2. Then here we no, actually it's the same list. Yeah, that's the no wait, it's just one element to the list. Yes, just one element to the list. So it's a dict any, I guess.
You have an extra comma.
Again?
If there is an extra comma on the parameters, after the
Yeah, right after token. Yep, the test also tells me above that there's the extra comma, but you were quicker. Thank you. That means our tests take too long. Because computers should always be quicker than humans, right? And it doesn't work. It's unfortunate that we have those warnings, which is and handle incident takes 7 positional argument, but 8 were given. Why did I do that?
You forget the self at the beginning, I think.
That's correct because implicitly provided. Seeing that list from above, oh, that was unexpected. Now everything passes. That's awesome. But you know, seeing the test failing in before, I could see which of the unit tests actually failed. And then what I could try to do is only run that unit test until it passes again, and then go on to the next level to say like, now call all the tests again. You know, and also what I'm doing now is I'm just calling the unit test. So I will commit this change because apparently it does work surprisingly. And I think it's already looking better. Probably in the next step, I would like to change it to list concatenation. But still, it's already once.
Would I to run like linter and
okay, fine.
before to commit?
Well, it would be a temporary commit, but we can. The problem is that it didn't value the configuration file, so somehow, you know, it's complaining about all the other things. All right. So I would like to commit anyway and then see how black would reformat. But if you like, I can make that explicit that that's not something that we would like to merge. So I'm saying work in progress. Extracting for loop body in types incidents y like this. And now git status is clean. And now I'm calling black. It's just black should be fine. And it did reformat. Let's see. Right, that list was a bit too long. Sorry, the line was a bit too long, but we're already benefiting from unindenting. So actually that, I think, rather ugly log messages, you know, the parenthesis opening and then you have the body here and then opening there. We don't need to do that anymore. So that's cool.
Exactly, that was made by Black itself in the old version, no?
I guess, yes.
Just because we was more on the right. Yes.
Yeah. And here it wants to pull it apart again. That's fine, but we don't want to keep it at that place anyway. Now, what would be the next step? What do you suggest?
I suggested to look at PyLint. At the moment, PyLint has just been configured for the project.
Yeah, it hasn't been called because Black already complained. So let's try again.
And it has been configured in a way that I just executed it, take all the warning and fill the configuration file of PyLint to ignore all the warning.
So PyLint RC is there. And so what I would assume if we call make PyLint, it would still. Okay. So missing docstring. Docstring. Missing module, class docstring. Is it one of those or is it a different? Maybe I'm running a different PyLint version.
Yes, exactly. And it seems to me that it is not ignoring.
Yeah. You know what? You suggested the virtual env. Let's do that. virtual and the end. So what is it using? My system installed Python 3 compiler setup tools. So actually also the Python 3 version might be a bit old. Yeah, but let's see. So what did this do? This created a directory venv. You can see it bin include lib. So this is something like a standard Linux environment, stripped down to only bin and lib. And what we can do is we can call and bin activate. And now, which pip is that? It would be this one. So now I can, what does the README say about, not pip, it says pip install r requirements dev. Let's check if that actually works, because you know how it is. Documentation always lies. Because we don't have a test that is actually executing the README directly, right? Button find something for responses. No matching found for. It does ring a bell.
Could you check the Python version you are using?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the problem.
Yes, I sent on the chat a different command that you can use to create the virtual environment and that allow you to have control over the version of Python used.
Yeah. Okay. I hope you're okay that for now I will just stick to only tests then. Okay, I need to actually oops, build session. Anyway, yeah. So which Python? That's the normal one again. Yeah, okay. I will just revert to that for now. So Andrea, thank you. That's a bad name. That, stupid. I just closed the tab. So and that's what happens if I press this button. One handle incidents is actually handle incident. So I would like to use a list concatenation here. Yeah, just gone.
Yes, I like to propose a slightly different topic or direction for the next step. That is about unit testing, but I like to share with you something about something that we have in the unit testing of this project that I like to talk about. And
Okay.
I
A
like
certain file that I should look into?
I like to propose an experiment. Can you try to run the unit testing not using make but using PyTest itself?
Yes. So let's take a look. What the make file is doing is
It's calling PyTest. No, you say
that's Python 3m PyTest.
like this, yes. And I like to use it like a base because we know that this one is working.
So, right, that's equivalent to what we had before. Okay,
Yes.
go on.
Now I like to ask you to add some stuff to this command. Let me share in the chat. It is few arguments that you need to fit between PyTest, the executable name, and the folder. And they are about changing the verbosity in the log.
Okay.
And you will see what happens.
Right, so it's telling me about the individual test, telling me much more.
On one side, you have all the logs, so it could help to debug the execution of the test itself. But you see, it starts failing. And I like to talk about this failure.
Yeah.
And the point is that in some of the unit testing, we are using a special technique to implement the test. And the technique is like we are collecting the logs that are executed
Yeah.
by the tested code and expect that. No? So we are like trying to guess about the execution path using the log. And I think that it is somehow wrong, or let's say limiting,
Yeah.
because it means that anytime you try to add a log within the code, you have failure in many tests or more than one test, and it is always difficult to figure out why.
Absolutely. Who raised their hand? Speak up, please.
It was by mistake.
Heidi. Yeah.
No, it was just I was trying something. Whatever you are doing it on my.
Yep.
It was by mistake. Yeah.
Fine.
And
Feel happy to try out the other things in Jitsi. Like you can this.
Yes, the point is that unit testing should not care about log at all, because logging, at least from my point of view, is not a behavior. It's not something that our code is doing. It's just like debug help. No?
Right. So why do you think the reason was that a test was designed like that?
Because it is an easy way to implement.
Yeah.
From the test point of view, it is an easy way to understand what is going on. But
Yeah.
yes, it is like, I mean, like what we did now, we refactoring the code, and the test was passed because the test that test was like quote good, and was good because it was testing behavior, and behavior is like, for example, how many element I have in the list.
Yes.
This is a behavior. If and this was working because that particular test was test underscore incidents, I think, was not using this feature of inspecting the log.
Okay.
And so we can have a look, for example, to one of the failure, if you like, and try to fix it or understand it.
Yeah, sure. So it was the first one was a test approved test single incident. Test single incident. So in here, what we do is, we actually set the log level, which obviously is an interesting choice to do within a unit test.
And if you go at the end, you will see that we use caplog and we like look within the caplog.
Yes.
For example, we check that we reach 5 logs at line 196, for example.
Exactly. I assume the problem is because, well, approver does its thing, but it doesn't really return anything, so there's hard to check on it, right?
Yes, but if something is hard to check, it is not a behavior, and you do not need to have unit testing for it. No?
Yeah, true.
No, it is somehow practical, and it was exactly about the function that we just refactored. As you see, there was a lot of exit point, like continue.
Yeah.
No, so during the execution, if not running the unit testing, but running in dry mode, no, you have a lot of exit point for that nested loop.
Yes.
And most of them was without logging. So somehow someone can try to add some log here and there, but then the code is not committable because there's a lot of unit testing that stop failing. No.
That's correct. So do you have a specific suggestion what we should do as a next step?
We should try to refactoring the test.
Okay.
And it's not need to be done all in one time. We can take one test at a time and try to rewrite it without cap log.
Right. So I assume that the first test is actually failing here, where it assumes that there are 5 entries, and now we're changing the log level, changing the number of records that we actually get.
Yes.
That's based on approver. So what's approver? Approver is Open qem-bot approver. Okay, so there's Open qem-bot approver, and that thing, was called. So we initialize the object, and then we have also here we have this call function, and that one has those log messages like has at least one failed job. I think this is one of the places which I actually also changed myself. Mostly I only reverted the strings. Question is, what actually that's in the approvable function, right? So that's actually already not too bad. Here we are using proper list concatenation. That looks like code how I would write it myself. Well, do that part already. And where was fixtures, test single incident, and then we have where incident equals 1. And afterwards we are looking for having that list of messages and then assert that there's a certain message, right?
Yes, it seems to me that some of them are about failures, no? Like
I wonder
99.
about why do we use assert? Is it possible to add assert like a message here? Or does that not work with a PyTest assert?
No, should work. And
You're using PyTest, right?
Yes.
PyTest. So
indeed, it's a good practice now to explain.
yeah, because I don't know why somebody says there must be 5 entries.
Yes.
There must be 5 entries because I say so. I will split it again, and
if you like, you can just run this test. No,
yes,
you just need to specify. You can specify the file name, but even the
K.
name.
I think it was K.
You
Then
can just cut and paste. You see the failed message.
yeah,
And you can just cut and paste it. Yes, and also with this. I'm not sure about.
yeah. Except that the copy paste for me doesn't work because I'm using a teammate session within a browser, and this has its limit. So does this work? Collecting 7. It doesn't look like it actually executed that.
It could be a parametric test. But
Let's call help. So sorry, copy mode aborted. So there's -k expression only run tests which match the given substring.
yes, but that list you can not specify dash key and just provide the file name, for example. I think that the problem could be that this particular test is a parametric test.
How long does it take to run tests? It said that it deselected 89.
But
Okay.
you can remove dash key, I think. Oh, okay. Give it a try. Good.
So I guess that also worked, but now I'm getting a problem with raise response. So this mocked ending stuff doesn't work. Yeah, okay. So I will try with just test approve. Nope, still.
In this case, you can remove dash key, I think, because
Okay. Now, sorry. Now I understand you.
Yes, it's better.
It's just taking too long to give good feedback, but in the end, we kind of fixed it because I said that it's now more than 5. So would you be okay with, I mean, not that test string, but to say there must be at least 5 entries,
No,
depending on log level?
from my point of view, we should look at to rewrite the test. And the first point is to define which kind of behavior we like to test.
Yes, and to test the behavior, I would say that line shouldn't matter at all. So, well, we can just remove that line, okay? And same here, because we are actually checking for the messages in there. Maybe it's helpful to say, we rely on log messages. So that's why we are checking that there is at least one, because, you know, if one line later, maybe the message would be confusing if the test would tell an index error that we cannot index the last entry. So also here, I would say messages in test, something like this. And further here,
You see, line 224 is about parameterized test that avoid to use the PyTest syntax to specify exactly one test.
I didn't get that.
We was trying to execute the test by specifying the file name and
Oh,
the name
right.
of the test. It is kind of not enough because it is also expecting some parameter. And PyTest usually automatically loop through all the available parameter.
Yeah.
For example, a good practice to help to focus on behavior is to try to explain the behavior in the doc string of the test itself.
Yeah. Do you know doc test?
Yes, I do not use it and I do not like it, but I'm used to make this exercise or challenge to myself when I start to
Right.
write a new test. I try to explain in human.
I think they are particularly useful in small calculator function. Like if you're doing some calculation where really easy to define the input and the output, then I think a docstring can help to explain what this thing does. But of course, then they are not interfacing. All right. So what do you know about the other things? Assert, no API, something.
Could you repeat the question? I do not get.
All the assertions about the length of the log messages do not show up anymore, so that's already good. But what about the no API?
No, I don't know.
Test the proof 442, assert 10 is 8. Have I missed one? Which line? 442. Ooh. Ah, right. Right. So it's also looking for no API key in the log message. Maybe the test is also too strict here.
No, but
Okay.
from my point of view, it should not look at any log at all. I mean, why should I change the test if I just fix a typo in the log?
Right. There is a use case because, I mean, overall, it's questionable design. Okay. With this QM dashboard and the qem-bot, the thing is that to understand why something shows up or doesn't show up in the dashboard so far, I mean, that's how it is right now. The best thing that you can rely on are the log messages from when qem-bot is called. Okay, so why is a certain incident not approved? And then the best that you can do is take a look in the GitLab CI jobs where qem-bot is executed and take a look for a certain log message. So in that case, those log messages are part of the expected behavior.
But if it is a human being that is expecting the log, even if I fix a typo, you will be able to understand the error. It is different if there's some script or machine that are relying on the log,
Yeah,
maybe with some grep. But in that case, maybe it is even a bad idea for a script to rely on a log, and maybe the script should return, I don't know, a JSON file or
absolutely,
something. No,
of course. But that's how
then there should be a test about the JSON file content.
exactly.
Of course.
And the log can change in level and all those things. Can handle the typos with a spell checker and not with unit tests doing copy paste of the expected log message. Absolutely right. But that's how it is. And the least that I could do is, in assert messages, it says the messages must exactly look like that. And now we're changing the log level for better debugging and unit testing. As you suggested, we have an additional log message appearing that the test shouldn't care about. So the problem that I see is this assert messages for equality of a complete list. What we should do is to say, just relax that check a bit and take a look on what we actually care about. For example, maybe it's completely fine for now that we check that those messages appear. But why should, what's the name? Test OC all pass need to look for the start approving incidents, right? Maybe for end of bot run, maybe that's a user facing feature actually. So wait, it was in this file, right? So was it further above? Test OC all pass, yeah. So I think we should get rid of that equality and say assert end of bot run in messages. End of run must be marked explicitly. Okay, right. I'm looking at the time and I'm enjoying that session. Thank you for contribution and working with me. I'd like to here for maybe some more minutes, but I would do that outside the official workshop session. So if you like, you can give me a short feedback afterwards. I'll stop the recording here. Let me just take a look on the schedule for the workshop topics. So next week we still have an open room. If you're suggesting a topic that we should do there, then I would be happy to hear about that. And the week after that, we will again take a look into the roadmap of the SUSE QE Tools. Until then, thank you and goodbye.